Hi, I'm Karla. I'm the debate team captain at my school, and even more importantly, I'm a Taurus. We Tauruses are hard workers and very honest and grounded, but we're probably known best for our toughness. We never back down, and we never give up. So don't pick a fight with a Taurus, unless you're prepared to get your butt handed to you. Also, Taurus is an earth sign. That means I keep it real. 100. Taurus is Latin for bull, which is why I can smell BS from a mile away. So don't even think about trying to pull a fast one on me because I will own you. Hey, if you don't stick up for yourself and convictions, who will? Sure, sometimes people call that stubborn, but we should fight for what we want. And if that makes me stubborn, then call me stubborn, Stuart. But don't do that because that's not my name, Jack. I always liked fighting. I get in fights all the time at my school. No, not actual fist fights. I fight as a member of the debate team. After all, debate is about two sides duking it out, trying to win an argument. I got really into debate when I realized it's just the polite, socially acceptable way to fight. There's also cage fighting, which is getting more mainstream now, but our school doesn't have that yet. I think the secret to debating is that it never really has to end until you want it to. Most of the time, I win by just outlasting the other guy. In war, whoever surrenders first is the loser, and I never surrender. During my time as captain, we had a perfect record. That is, until this guy Quentin joined the team. Quentin was the type of person who always thought he knew better. He and I are actually a lot alike. Difference is, I'm usually right. As soon as he came onto the team, he had a bunch of ideas about what we should be doing, even though we were doing just fine. I said, hey, don't fix it if it ain't broke. And he'd be all, if it's not broken. This dude corrected people's grammar all the time. Oh, I hated that. Every debate meet ends in a lightning round between each team's captains, and I've never lost. That's another thing about us Tauruses. We're consistent, reliable, and we work hard. Quentin was a grinder too, and strong-minded. He wanted to be captain, but I was clearly the superior debater. Quentin wouldn't back down though. So he asked to hold a debate with me where the winner would get to take over as team captain. Instead of just asking me nicely, he threw a glove at my face and said that he demanded satisfaction. Weirdo. A lot of the other members of the team were intimidated by Quentin. At one of our debate meets, we watched him successfully argue that the tooth fairy was real. You might be wondering how he pulled that off. Well, without getting too inside baseball, he basically did this by defending tooth fairy more generally as any person who replaces the tooth under your pillow with money. Technically, that person does exist, and it's usually your mom. This guy had some skills, I'll give him that. But I wasn't too dazzled. He thought he was some kind of hotshot, but to me, he was just another young blood trying to challenge my alpha dominance. This happens every year, I'm used to it. So I told him I'd accept his challenge and threw a sock at him. The next day, I was at the library reading up on my horoscope, which had a cryptic warning about how there was no such thing as coincidences. I was reflecting on this when Quentin came up to me. He asked if he could take the first turn in our special debate. I said fine, bring it. So then came time for our internal match to see who would take over as captain. The first topic was, believe it or not, astrology. Coincidence? I mean, come on, you saw my horoscope. Anyway, the prompt had us argue whether or not astrology was a valid science. That's when I saw a smug grin on Quentin's face, as if he already had this in the bag. He went first like we agreed, and his argument was that astrology is a pseudoscience. This dude just made it personal. I told him that this sort of skepticism was common among those uninitiated in the ways of the Zodiac. He laughed super hard at this. Why was that funny? I could see Quentin was like me, strong-willed and obsessive about facts. So I demonstrated the predictive power of astrology by intuiting that he was also a Taurus. And turned out, he was. Boom! But Quentin wasn't swayed. He threw around fancy terms like anecdotal coincidence and claimed that anyone could have found out his birthday. In case you're wondering, no, I did not know his birthday. I just know another Taurus when I see one. Anyway, Quentin maintained that none of this proved anything. He said to me, if Taurus are supposed to be all about facts and I'm a Taurus, how come I believe in astrology? Psh, Get out of here with that ad hominem, child's play. Wouldn't he have to believe in astrology in the first place to even make any kind of argument about whether or not I was being a proper Taurus? Logical fallacy. Now, Quentin's next point, I couldn't argue with. Not because he was right, but because he was so wrong. He said, if it matters so much when you were born, then why does astrology only care about your birth date? Why not the actual time of birth? Oof, Quentin really stepped into it now. The fact is, astrology cares very much about the time of your birth. Doesn't everyone know that? I mean, I wouldn't even need to see Quentin's natal chart to know exactly when he was born, which was yesterday. Clearly, Quentin didn't know anywhere near enough about astrology to properly debate me on it. See, in our debate language, there's a bylaw that says anyone can compete as long as they demonstrate a basic level of knowledge on the subject of the debate. That's when I asked him to name all 12 of the zodiac signs. He could name most of them, but not all of them. That's pretty basic stuff, wouldn't you say? I turned to the judge and requested a motion to call the debate off, invoking League Bylaw 1023, in that my opponent did not possess basic knowledge of the subject and therefore could not participate in a fair and rigorous debate. The judge granted my motion, agreeing that Quentin's complete lack of knowledge about astrology, real or not, nullified the debate, which meant that he automatically lost his bid to take over as captain. Technically, I didn't win the debate either, but let's be real, I destroyed him in the first round, no less, and I stayed captain. Quentin was tenacious, though. I could tell he wasn't used to losing. Classic Taurus. The next day, Quentin suggested a compromise, that he and I switch off captain's duties so that he could sometimes be captain. Obviously, I rejected it. I owned him in that debate. Why should I have to compromise anything at all? Plus, I loved being captain. As captain, not only do I get to do the lightning rounds, I get to wear a cool patch. I reminded him that every team only gets one captain's patch, so it's not something we could really share. I wasn't about to destroy the patch by cutting it in half. Quentin asked why we couldn't just pass the patch back and forth like a baton. This guy wasn't giving up, but you know me, I never backed down. And I wasn't about to start now. I explained to Quentin that we couldn't just pass the patch back and forth because it was already sewn to my jacket. Duh. What, are we gonna share the jacket like a couple of tools? I could tell I was getting under his skin. Quentin got so frustrated that he quit the team on the spot. Oh well, maybe there just wasn't enough room on the team for two bulls anyway. So I carried on and prepped for our next debate with our rival school. They were always tough, so I made sure we were prepared. It was the last meet of the season, and I wasn't about to jeopardize our perfect record. When the opposing team came onto the stage, guess who I saw as their captain? Quentin! Not only had he joined the rival team, he must have beaten their old captain in another round of his ridiculous duels. I'd beaten Quentin one-on-one, so I was confident, but the debate was pretty close. We were actually tied until it was time for the final round, lightning round. Each of us would only have 5 seconds per turn to make our arguments. That's right, 5 seconds. Not only that, this was sort of the free-for-all part of the debate where we didn't have to cite any facts. Instead, we're scored on the emotional appeal of our arguments. Quentin and I took to the stage. We were presented with the topic, stubbornness. Was it good or bad? By the way, if you still think these are coincidences, I don't know what to tell you. Luckily, I got to go first. I argued that stubbornness was a good thing. Stubbornness arises from passion, conviction, and not giving up easily. It's perseverance. And I believed that. Since I went first, Quentin was stuck with the opposing argument. He said, stubbornness was perseverance, all right, the ugly side of it. And back and forth we went. One mic drop after another. I had to hand it to Quentin. What happened between us must have lit a fire in him because he brought his A game. We traded blows into the final seconds. As time expired, I managed to blurt out one last argument. Stubbornness is strength. Man, it felt good. I was jacked up. And then, just before the buzzer, Quentin got one more line. Stubbornness is the strength of the weak. The place erupted in applause. And when the smoke cleared, the judge declared the winner. Quentin. I had done my best, but on that day it seemed Quentin was just unbeatable. As I watched him celebrate, I couldn't help but think that I would still have a perfect record if I hadn't driven him away to the other team. If only I hadn't been so, stubborn. Stubbornness is the strength of the weak. Pretty good, right? Made me think anyway. Don't get me wrong, I'm still proud to be a strong Taurus. But maybe I need to find some balance. Thank you, Quentin, wherever you're at. Have you ever stuck to your guns only to end up shooting yourself in the foot? Tell us about it in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more hidden wisdom stories. Remember, when you share our stories, you're sharing wisdom.